If you'd like to support the channel, then be sure to check out our Patreon. Link is in the description.
Last time on Dragon Ball Z, the Red Ribbon Army is at large. After many failed attempts to gather the Dragon Balls, they are pushed to the edge as Goku travels their way to challenge their tyranny. Accompanied only by his flying cloud and magical staff, Goku takes down the army one by one. The only one standing before him now is the mechanical suit of Staff Officer Black. Through a difficult battle, Goku is able to defeat him. However, the following explosion is tougher than expected. What will happen to our hero? Tech meets flesh now. Red Ribbon Revenge. What if Goku was turned into an android?
Everything around Goku shook as the battlesuit short-circuited and began to explode. The explosion followed him close behind, and the Nimbus was barely able to stay ahead of it. But it was too late. The explosion spread out far and wide, and Goku was caught up in it. And some time after the smoke cleared, the ruined base was nothing like its former self, and he ends up falling hard on a stray piece of debris that knocks him out cold. His friends wait patiently for his return, not knowing that something darker than anything that faced before was lurking. A small hatch opens from underground, with an old man creeping from it. This was Doctor Gero, fleeing the wrecked base, running with what little lab notes and schematics he was able to carry. All his research was ruined. He'd have to start all over again. Running through the base ruins, the doctor suddenly trips and falls on the floor. He grunts as he glares back at the culprit. It seems to be a small furry animal. After taking closer inspection, this brown fuzzy appendage reveals itself to be a tail attached to something. A large rock lies in the way though. Dr. Gero uses all of his strength to push the large piece of debris aside to reveal none other than the one who's responsible for all this mess. Without a second thought, he grabs the boy's neck and begins to squeeze. The small child was the reason for his son's death, the reason all of the Red Ribbon Army was destroyed. As he was choking the unconscious boy, a small piece of fabric floated down from his torn clothing. To his surprise, it was the Red Ribbon symbol, and it had fallen on Goku's forehead. His grip lessened, and an evil smirk spread across his face. He had a much better idea on how to take revenge. He took the still unconscious boy back with him on a small capsule car. Dr. Gero had one more secret lab to take him to. This would be the lab which Goku would grow up in. From then on, a brown-haired woman greeted them as they arrived. Her name was Vami, and she was Dr. Gero's wife. Gero informed her on the news about their son, that his life was lost in battle defending the Red Ribbon base. She was overcome with grief, and like Dr. Gero, resented the young boy for what he had done. But there was part of her which blamed the Red Ribbon Army as well. After all, she never wanted her son to be a soldier and have to fight. In a sense, she had always dreaded someone expected this outcome. Months passed by, and Goku grew up in the lab. Of course, he tried to escape multiple times, but Dr. Gero's technology was impressive, and he was able to keep him within the walls. Goku underwent intense training and was subject to a lot of inhumane experiments during this time, a lot of which Vami wasn't aware of. After a while, he became desensitized to the horrors he endured, and afterwards, even began to look forward to the new challenges that Dr. Gero would subject him to. Increased gravity, shocks. Dr. Gero would even make powerful foes for Goku to fight. At first, they were very easy to defeat, but as time moves on, some Goku felt could even rival Master Roshi. Vami felt great loss after losing her son, Gevo, and she started to grow closer to the young Goku, to the point where she saw herself as a mother figure to the boy. Goku also began to feel a sense of closeness to Vami, and the two had a familiar bond. She would tend to his wounds and keep him company. Dr. Gero, however, was a little more cold, but as time moved on, even he softened towards the boy and grew to see him as somewhat of a son. This odd family carried on with their research, as with Goku's training, only this time there were no inhumane experiments and no one was being mistreated. Goku's change came about from the solitude and unspeakable acts he endured for the first few months. He wasn't necessarily brainwashed, but he was changed by the unfortunate circumstances. His Saiyan nature pushing him to grow and develop through battle also aided him in this and urged him to keep pushing. He kind of thanked Dr. Gero for all the difficult training, as it did help him become much more refined as a warrior. Memories of his past life with Krillin, Bulma, Roshi, and the others still reside in the recesses of his mind, but they were definitely not a priority. Just a distant memory, he had slowly grown to love this new family. The 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai arrived. Goku is now around 15 years old. Although he did not participate in the tournament, Dr. Gero did hear about the martial arts attacks done by King Piccolo and his army. The tournament was won by Tien, who turned a new leaf, thanks to Krillin, Roshi, and the other Z fighters. This time, Krillin doesn't die. Due to Goku not participating and being there was no reason for Krillin to return to the tournament grounds to pick up Goku's power pole. So in this story, Krillin does not die at the hands of Tambourine. Vami holds Goku close as they watch the news and witness Piccolo murdering whole towns at once. Dr. Gero doesn't seem fazed by this, and instead smirks, saying,
"This is exactly what I've been waiting for. A chance to prove how incredible my creations are."
Vami looks at him, and then back at Goku.
Let me be first, please. I couldn't forgive myself if something happened to Goku too. It would be just like with...
Goku was confused at first, but then it became clear what the plan was. Without another second to waste, Dr. Gero nods and agrees, a somewhat saddened look in his eyes.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video thus far. If you like this sort of content, want to see more, and support the channel, then consider becoming a Patreon. There, you can help support the channel through various tiers while getting some perks of your own. As a Patreon, you will be helping improve the videos, get them out faster, fund the awesome thumbnails, editing, and much more. Overall, this is the best way to ensure that I can keep providing you guys with awesome Dragon Ball content. Plus, you get some neat perks, like an extra discussion video every other week, early access to videos such as this one, and behind-the-scenes content. So be sure to go to patreon.com/SmugStick and consider supporting the channel. Thank you to all the current patrons for your support, and let's get back into the story.
And now back to our show.
The two of them were gone for hours, and hours turned into days. At last, they emerged. What struck Goku as odd was that now, for some strange reason, Vami's key had disappeared.
It was a success after all!
It's like I passed with flying colors.
The first ever human to be turned into an android had been born. Goku looked at Vami with confusion. This is what they had been working towards for so long? He couldn't sense any ki from her and felt no increase in strength. Vami noticed his confusion and asked what was wrong before focusing her ki into her palm. The amount of energy there was insane. Goku could not believe it. It was so powerful and so concentrated. Vami smirked and dissipated her ki. Gero looked at Goku.
This is the future that awaits you too, Goku. My wife was so kind as to have it done first out of fear that something would go wrong. You were my real target all along. This is what you've been working towards. With your already outstanding martial arts and ki control, you'll become the strongest being this world has ever known.
Goku hesitated slightly, but his body twitched in excitement at the thought of unlocking even more power. He accepted, and within a few days, he was ready to face off against the Demon King, Piccolo. After all, Dr. Gero's goal is to rule Earth. Piccolo would need to be out of the picture, and with this, Dr. Gero would be able to test out and prove just how fearsome this android warrior is.
Good luck, Goku.
Vami says with a soft smile.
He's the strongest being alive. Isn't that right, Gibo?
They stand in silence for a while.
You didn't mean to say that. Slip of the tongue, you know. Because you both have names beginning with a G.
Even though it's a little awkward, Goku smiles. It's okay. I'm actually happy that you see me like a son. Anyways, let me take care of things. Without another word, Goku flies out of the cave and tracks Piccolo's key signature. He arrives at the battlefield to find the unconscious Krillin, Yamcha, and a barely conscious Tien. Piccolo holds what he's doing and stares down at Goku.
And who might you be? Is that son Go? Oh,
Tien passes out mid-sentence. He had heard countless stories about this mysterious boy from Yamcha and Krillin, and this boy fit the description perfectly. Goku stares down at his giant foe and silently approaches him. The Demon King Piccolo is insulted by his arrogance and immediately shoots him with a ki blast, to which Goku tanks it. "Is that all?" he asks before landing a sweeping kick on Piccolo. Angry and insulted, Piccolo growls before jumping back and tries to calm himself.
I'm not sure where you came from, but you certainly seem not to be all talk after all. Very well. You shall be the first to experience my full, unrestrained power!
The ground shakes as he begins to power up, small rocks rising up from the ground. Goku watches in silence. With a final deafening roar, Piccolo's aura bursts open. They stare each other down, and in the next moment, they clash. Only shockwaves can be felt as the two rush to one another. They seem to be pretty evenly matched until Goku's expression changes slightly. A small smile appears on his face and he begins to mouth something. Piccolo takes a direct hit and falls on the ground.
You brat! You're not the only one who can do that, you know!
The Namekian jumped onto the sky and began to focus his palm.
Prepare to die!
Goku whispered out a small, "Perfect." Before jumping in the air, he raised his fist up and rushed towards the currently defenseless Piccolo, focusing his energy onto his feet with a final burst of energy, punching through Piccolo with a mighty roar. King Piccolo cried out, in his final moments, mustered up all the strength to create and spew out an egg. Goku lands and turns to watch Piccolo fall to the ground, dead. I barely got to use any of my energy reserves. Goku glanced over at Krillin and Yamcha for a split second before jumping up and flying back home. He's greeted by a very happy Vami who embraces him. Dr. Gero also looks pretty proud.
I'd like to run some more tests on you and access your visual files to see how the battle went, if that's okay.
Goku nodded in response. Despite Vami's happy expression, she held some worries internally. Weren't they just doing what they did to their previous son? Forcing him into a life filled with battle and life or death situations? She knew things would end up bad for the young Goku, one way or the other. She needed to do something, even if it meant standing up against Dr. Gero. Dr. Gero had a few things in mind. The transformation into an android erased a lot of Goku's memories, which just meant it made him more docile. But Goku seemed to recognize a few of the people when he was fighting Piccolo. Gero hoped it was nothing, but perhaps memory of his friends could return. He had to prevent that. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video. The concept of Android Goku is one that I've loved for a long time, but I wasn't too happy with the original story I made, so if you want to see more, be sure to tell me in the comments below. I'm recording this a few weeks ahead of time, so if I haven't said your name and you've become a Patreon, then I'm so sorry. I'll be sure to catch up as soon as I'm back home. Currently, I'm traveling around a little bit. Shout out to my Patreons: Jesse Williams, D. Miles, The Gaming Galaxy, Dakota Kaiser, Salil Paranjape, Keith Grimes, Jordan Dowes, Thayer45, Celestia, Tyler Sparling, Robot, Ethan, Legone, Dreadpool, Phil J. Akir, The Baked Potato, Bartek, and Samuel Randall. Thank you guys for your support as we transition into Patreon. Anyways, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and until we meet again. See ya!